Hi, Stephanie. I'm Lin Weideng, and I will choose Obama as an example. The process of Obama becoming the president of the United States is definitely a leadership case worth studying. He's the first African American president of the United States, and before he was elected as a president, his achievement in policy was not super rare. How did he get so much trust from voters and become the president of the United States? Through the analysis, we found that Obama did a series of actions to attract more voters to follow him in the elections. This behavior conformed to the framework of the transformational leadership. Transformational leadership connects the followers' future prospects with the organizational visions and perform the followers to achieve the organizational goals to satisfy themselves. The next part I will introduce how Obama follows the 4I in transformational leadership frameworks. The first is the idealized influence, do the right things. Obama carried out it very well, and he described a vision plan with expression of America at that time. The Americans were seriously dissatisfied with the current social situation. The United States military can't withdraw from Iraq. The terrible economy policy triggered the subprime crisis that later triggered the global financial crisis. Thousands of people are facing the dangers of bankrupt, unemployment, and the loss of housing. Obama campaign slogan was change we can believe in, and yes we can. He promised to oppose the Bush administration's tax cuts for the wealthy. He also always opposed the war in Iraq and promised in his campaign that if he is elected as a president, he will withdraw United States military from Iraq within 16 months. He described an America in which there was no wars, no great gap between the rich and poor. Everyone has work and basic securities and peace. Such a vision is exactly what the people need at that time. The second is inspirational motivations raise the expectations. The key word here is the inspiration. Obama has created an image with the American dream and a grassroots image towards the president. Obama's team goal is to win the presidential elections. He showed voters the possibility that his election as a president was not only a victory for himself, but also a victory for the normal people over the elite politicians. It is because his junior and grassroots background that he can distinguish himself from Hillary Clinton, John Edwards, and other Democratic elite without reservations. It was a good thing for people to have grassroots candidates, and people are more likely to support Obama's image than the political elite. The third is the intelligence simulations. Think about the old problem in a new way. The new way here is embodied in the strategy used by the Obama team in the election campaign to bring more people to his supporters. In the past election campaign, politicians directly communicated with the people through the newspaper, on-site speech, and other channels to win support. During the ruling period, politicians need to use their own achievement in policy to gain the trust of the people. But Obama, his team mobilized people in the internet. Anyone can email him through the web link. He and his team will reply, and then invite people to participate in some online opportunities. He used hot search keyword to let people link to his related website pages and news as soon as they searched for the president campaign. Let a large numbers of internet users know him. Many search influencers, after searching the relative advertisements, sign up to Obama's relevant campaign website to become the volunteers or launch local canvassing or more, or even donate money support. The last part is individualized considerations, treat people as people. This reflects in Obama's image of being close to the people. Obama has created a serious people-friendly image for himself. Doing push-ups, let children touch his head, and making speech in the heavy rain, all of which have made Obama no longer high above the ground, but become a normal person around people. At the same time, Obama's listening to the opinions of normal people can make people feel that their opinions are valued. Obama will work hard for them so as to deepen people's trust in Obama.
Hi, Stephanie. My part is about Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King Jr. was a well known civil rights activist who had a great deal of influence on American society in the 1950s and 1960s. His strong belief in nonviolent protest helped set the tone of the movement. Boycotts, protests, and marches were eventually effective, and much legislation was passed against racial discrimination. Assassinated in 1968, King led a brief life filled with many great accomplishments, working to promote equal treatment of all races. We all know his famous I Have a Dream speech on the step of the Lincoln Memorial in 1963. According to his achievement, Martin Luther King is a charismatic leader. As we know, charismatic leadership is the method of encouraging particular behaviors in others by way of eloquent communication, persuasion, and force of personality. Charismatic leaders motivate followers to get things done or improve the way certain things are done. This is accomplished by conjuring up eagerness in others to achieve a state goal or vision. In essence, the charismatic leadership style has its basis in a form of heroism. This leadership style is almost the best. So, how King fits charismatic leadership? Due to his determination to fight against racial discrimination and his eloquence as a public speaker, King was asked by the people to be their leader. His followers adore him because he advocated equality and supported all kinds of nonviolent anti-discrimination activities, marches, which gave hope to the oppressed. His speech was inspiring, which helped followers to be more assertive in their beliefs and also trust their leader more. That's why more and more people join his campaign against discrimination. Even after even after his death, his followers still want to fulfill his dream. That allowed the black race to get their current status. Charismatic leaders are extremely skilled communicators. There is no doubt that Dr. King was a great orator. The word and message he delivered came to life more strongly because of how he communicated. His epic I Have a Dream speech would have been very different had he read it from note card or PowerPoint slides. We don't have to have Dr. King's oratorical skills to become a transformational leader. On the other hand, the language he used always struck people. His words were always strong. It hit people in the heart and throat. It compelled his followers to want to take action. Besides, he always led by example. Dr. King was jailed multiple times for his work. He always stood at the front of the line for many marches and protests. He spent time talking to constituent leaders and relentlessly practiced empathy so that he can motivate his followers. King was a visionary. He was a man who had a dream bigger than the time in which he lived. King's stance on political activism in a non-violent way made him a natural leader and an inspirational figure. Dr. King also was a great orator. His heart-stirring speech shows his masterful communication skills. He used his speech to express his emotions, which also infect others. Finally, about the evaluation of Martin Luther King, I think he is a great charismatic leader. He is full of energy and charisma. He always leading by example, and he is very eloquent verbally, and he can communicate with the people they lead on a profound emotional level. And he can evoke strong emotions in his followers as well. These are the most striking characteristics of charismatic leadership. Thank you, and my partner will introduce the next part.
Greetings, Stephanie. Today I'm going to conclude my partner's part and introduce you the difference between charismatic and the transformational leadership. Well, both charismatic and the transformational leadership have a very long history. People can find many spokespersons of this leadership. Also, to make a comparison, we choose the former US President Barack Obama and the famous social movement leader Martin Luther King. As my partner mentioned before, Obama, as a typical transformational leader, has governed different situations with different solutions. His achievements deserve people's recognition. Also, the Black Liberation Movement leader, Dr. King, was a very charismatic leader. He led the movement and offered people hope and beliefs. So, after analyzing both characters and their achievements, we found a key difference between these two leadership styles. So, where do followers get motivated? In transformational leadership, changing individuals and the social systems are created through a collective vision. It's too hard to understand, but I will make an example to explain it. When American people are tired of political elites, Obama, who has a clean background, joined the campaign, and he won because most American people needed a person with new concepts and minds to lead them. So this is a kind of collective vision. When a leader wants to meet most people's needs, they will be motivated. In charismatic leadership, the leader's charm and attraction create motivation to followers. This kind of motivation is very strong and effective. For example, Dr. King had the March on Washington that drew more than 200,000 people. Also, in this march, he made his famous speech, I have a dream. So charismatic leaders have a very clear vision and are willing to take any risk to achieve their goals. Also, we list some other differences. The first one is orange. Transformational leaders are adaptive leaders and mostly are trained to become leaders. They need to take different solutions for different situations. On the contrary, charismatic leaders are born but not made. For most of us, charismatic leaders is a gift, it's a trend, it's something inside a person. They might have different attention. Transformational leaders have a basic focus on transforming the organization and their followers. Obama listened to people's needs and signed bills to meet their needs. The charismatic leaders focus on their relation with followers. Like Martin Luther King, he provided followers with visions and beliefs about black people's rights. Also, they commit their followers. However, they may not want to change anything in the organization because they want a stable and a single leader structure. The final difference is succession. We think the charismatic leadership is hard to replace. You say there is no other Martin Luther King. It's hard to find a person like him who is inspirational. However, transformational leaders will be replaced by the next leader in the organization if they are trained well. For example, the American president. So, this is our comparison. Although both Obama and Martin Luther King are representative figures in the black people movement, they take different leaderships. Martin Luther King led people to fight and force the government make laws, the laws to protect black people. Otherwise, Obama is the one who made these laws. We also think about how about a person who takes both charismatic and transformational leadership. We think it's a good idea because it could prevent some charismatic leaders from getting their personal benefits by using the organizations. But more important thing is we are really hard to find people like this. So thank you for listening.